Right, that's like a messy chair, but it doesn't really matter. Well, top of the morning. Hi, Alec. If you're out there, I hope you are. If you'd reach out to me. I send you all the love and light in my heart and my soul. And I want you to know that I'm coming out of the stupor part that has been fear, the stupor part that has been, well, actually taken down the road by God to show me what's going on altogether, so that way I could be prepared for what's coming next. One thing I have been shown is that we will be returned to one another. And it doesn't matter where in the universe that is, you and I will be returned. Our love is stronger than death. And we have something to do with this world that's changing. The way I can see it, it has everything to do with the mother-child covenant, which is the point I have to focus on. This morning, I put a piece together the other day, and I'm not satisfied with it because I kind of finished some research after I did it. Kind of gave me more information than I had at the time, and so I kind of wanted to update it, basically. So I want to talk about the times we're in. There's a lot of talk going around about anti-Semitism and transgender and fathers' rights. Every single commercial out there these days is a biracial couple. If it's going to be talking about children, it's the father with children. Pretty much every time they can throw a dig at a woman or a mother, they do. And it's totally gross. We've got climate change being talked about, even though what they're really talking about is the behavioral changes of people finding out what the governments are up to and them having to curb those behaviors real quick. It's a real sick situation. And I'm not here to talk any shit. I'm here to just to the bottom of what I know, what I've been brought to understand. And this is for the community. I have some questions. And if you've got some answers, please provide them. So first and foremost, what I've been come to understand is that there's been a major religious lie going on since the beginning. I determined that by reading the concordance. Taking the scripture that I think there's over 140 different versions of, by the way, to the concordance where, the original Hebrew or Greek word is listed with any of the various other words that could be used to describe this, term and all the variations therein. And you come to realize there's a whole lot of lords, there's a whole lot of tenses of like masculine or feminine that are not applied as openly as they could be. There's ways to make it sound like it's talking about a God and God is an it without having to say it's a he or a she. There's ways to do that, but they didn't. They didn't do that. There's ways to say things like, God so loved its creation that it gave its monogene into that's what it says in that John scripture. It says God so loved its creation, the cosmos, that it put its monogene into the DNA of the human earthling. And for the earthling who receives this gene and passes on the love in the Holy Spirit, this pure Holy Spirit, they will have everlasting life. Because our children are our evolution. And that's how you have everlasting life. Yep. Because the original covenant of God was always between the mother and the child. Mother, woman, female, birther, womb, has a period, gives birth to babies naturally. Okay. Naturally. My first recommendation for dealing with gender dysphobia is back off, you molesting creeps. Okay? You're going to end up in jail. You're a creep. Stop molesting the children. Children, first of all, need the attention of their families and their parent. They don't need to be molested at school. And why don't you go get their genetics tested and show them what their chromosomes are? Let them get to know themselves. And then remind them that life isn't perfect. And we're handed exactly what God knows we need. God's got something to do with this. So what do we do when we've got a society of people that are godless? That's what it seems like. Everybody's godless. Wow. Well, that's arrogant. That's so arrogant. That is so arrogant. It's just disgusting. So it turns out that in the old Mosaic tradition, there was a redemption of the firstborn thing. What's up with that? But then they were able to do like pay it. They were able to buy the child back with 5 coins. Well, what if you didn't have the money? I can't find anything about that. What if you didn't have the money to pay for the redemption fee? Well, I do remember reading something that said, well, if you're not redeemed by the time you're 13, then it becomes the child's debt obligation to pay it off. Huh. Because I know that Mary took the baby to the temple because that was the law and she didn't have any money, or a goat and a duck and a dove. So she brought the child to the temple. The temple gave her the child back, and nothing more was explained about the situation. But apparently she didn't have any money. Apparently Joseph, the guy that the temple shacked her up with, didn't have the money either. And it would seem that maybe the whole slaughter of Jesus was simply just he didn't pay his debt. What I'm trying to say is, where did this law come from? Not God. Where it's talking about burnt offerings, you know what that's talking about? It's talking about burning the branches of tree that have become so oilless that you can burn them. That's what I'm going to say it is. That's what I believe it is. Yep. It talks about trees. We're talking about the earth. We're talking about living biological life. God does not want any burnt sacrifices. Now, if you are worshiping the Dark Lord, sure, you can construe it to mean that. That's not what God is asking for, ever. At all. Never did. From my knowledge and reading, just getting familiar with the stuff, it looks like there's some argument between Egypt and the Israelites. And it's like, you know what? Pretty sure you guys are dealing with the same God. Pretty sure you guys are dealing with the same God. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the intelligence that comes from the central sun, and then our constellation sun, and even our sun, the sun, SON, is also your Yahweh, is also your Osiris. It's also it's all of it. Because God is not a him or a her or a dude or a thing or even one eyeball in the sky. God is intelligence and consciousness and the essence of love, conscious. And it is a collective intelligence, and it does know all things, and it coordinates all things. And at the same time, it exists because we all exist together, which is why God communicates with each and every one of us individually, which is why God needs vessels to come through, because there's a give and take thing, and God wouldn't have it any other way. And honestly, neither do we. Neither would we. This beautiful thing. There's no wars going on in the real galactic space. Okay, you in order to be on the level of quantum, okay, traveling from one galaxy to another, for example, requires a frequency of quantum. And you don't get there without love. Okay, that's the secret. And it was in front of your noses all the time. But there's the answer. It's love. Love frequency. And it's what you just need to understand. And it's what the mother does naturally. And man just couldn't have it. He just couldn't have it. So he stole the covenant from the child, made her his wife. And we have been the first slaves since the beginning. Mother's been the first slave, and so have our children enslaved. Matter of fact, it's a real sickening thing when you've got this barbarians that keep these women in check and then create some religious law that says you have to give your firstborn child, and the mothers are all, oh, okay, I guess. So they're forcing the mothers to hand over the baby as if she chose to do it. Even if you hear people talk about the birth certificate these days, they even say, your mother gave you away at birth, and she didn't even know it. They like to talk shit, don't they? It's not very cool. Not very cool at all. We didn't choose that. We've never chosen that. We never would. And we never will. Because when the covenant gets restored here in the very near future, mothers are going to be under an oath of protection with their children. And it's not going to involve needing to bow down to a husband. That's not the way it goes in nature. That's not the way it goes in nature. Now, men, if you're so jealous, you can pay attention and try to graduate where you're at in your food chain, on your ladder, your deal. Okay, and you're not allowed to get upset about it anymore. You've had 10,000 years to see if you could work it out, but you haven't. You've just continued to even go balls to the wall harder. And it's lame. But we're not going to make fun of you as long as you knock it off. Because this is dumb. So why is anybody talking about bringing back sacrifice? You guys don't make any sense. The way I can tell, it's telling a story that my life can follow, which means the potential that it can, many other mother-children covenants can follow it. Probably because there's been an agenda to knock women out of the picture, to ruin children through breaking them from their mothers, so you can create war fighters. It's what you guys have been doing. But yeah, and it's turning out to be like, you know, where you're taking it literally, it's actually turning out to be more symbolic, but direct. Like where it's like Israel is actually more is and then Ra and then El. It's a combination of both gods. You know, like for example, my daughter's name Alec Hemi. Well, that's actually there's a Jewish Hebrew word for it. It's like Alec Hemi, Alec Hem, and it's the same. It's like the word for It's one of the important words. Okay, one of the important words that gets used so often, but it's like, you know, they, them, when it tries to be so vague about referring to this God person or this servant person or something to that effect. Okay, so it's like more literal and yet more symbolic. That's what I'm seeing, and it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. So I wanted to get that on the table. We've got this whole 5 coins you can redeem your child for, but what happens if you don't have the money? Is the slaughter of Jesus just the payment of a debt? And why do you think that God would work like that? You do know that that's worshiping the Dark Lord. Okay. For example, I have a question. God kicks out to Satan, right? Says, you know, get out of here. I don't know where the story is, but this is what I remember. And God sent Satan to be this, you know, the serpent. Or was that when God banished the serpent to the earth? Well, what was the serpent doing in the Garden of Eden anyway, is my point. The snake was in the grass. God knew that the snake was going to be there to go, hey, guys, because God knew that the nature of man is to be faulty and has to learn why he is a certain way. He has to understand how to handle the knowledge of good and bad. He doesn't just get it all the way. And it isn't this whole fall of Adam thing. This is exactly what God knew was going to need to take place. That's what I believe. And what we need to be prepared for is not some big story of apocalypse and antichrists and slaughtering and bringing back sacrifice and any of that nonsense. You guys, if you believe that Jesus is returning, like, first of all, I have a question. Like Jesus himself. Not that there'd be a Messiah that would be born at this point in time, which is what I believe. It says the servants. And it talks about them. A mother and a child is what I believe it's talking about. Because I think that Jesus would be pretty pissed off if he came back, first of all. Second of all, why does anybody think that Jesus died to clear up the sins of anybody else? That's so gross. I just can't. I'd love to hear anybody explain to me how they think that's going to go down. It doesn't. It's not going to. It doesn't make sense. But there is no argument here. We don't want to have war. We don't want to have bloodshed. We don't want to have suffering, you guys. It's the money game that is the problem. It's the competition game that is the problem. It's this religious warfare that is the problem. It's power, control. That's what goes on during the darkness. We've been passing through the darkness, and now we've entered the light belt. It's been about 2,000 years of permaplasma like light river. You get cleansed. If your frequencies are not high enough, you won't exist in this plane that we're going to. You'll disintegrate, and then you'll be kept in a sleep mode until we enter the darkness again. That's all. But if your frequency can be that of with humility, with humbleness, with meekness, not attached to things, but more concerned about love, loving your children, for crying out loud, not being a liar, not trying to just pursue your own end game, and ladies, not kissing nobody's nalgas. We're not slaves of theirs. We're not their slaves. We never were supposed to be. If you want to read it the right way, it actually says he's supposed to be her helper. She's helping him learn how to be a being. This is what it looks like by the information. They found the Y chromosome in the Neanderthal females. They don't know what they're talking about chromosomally. Okay, they don't know enough to be trying to do these transgender changes. But they want to start the argument. They want to get everybody all upset about it, and they want to get us all stuck on stupid thinking that they're working for our benefit when none of that's happening. And we don't even have to worry about that because things are underway. Okay? Things are underway. We've got galactic help that's here already, and that's spread around the earth. It's like, I guess you could say it's like mini drones, color light cubes that are intelligent. They're the watchers. Okay. And the Phoenix rising, this is happening around April of this upcoming year. Celestial things are happening. This is just the way it goes. I do believe that our galactic ancestors of Egypt or Sumeria, I believe that they have every reason to step on in and see how things are coming along. So I don't think we should be expecting, cotton candy. I think we have to clean up our act. And I think we've got to get prepared. Otherwise, we're going to look like total fools. We already look like total fools. But we got a few minutes left. We could pull this ship together under the right leadership. But if mankind doesn't choose to do it, it's not up to him anyway, because they got that all planned out. So that's the most important thing I want to get off my chest, which is what is going on out there in this religious nonsense. Okay, if anybody wants to be upset at anybody else about a God thing, they're taking it too seriously. And I guarantee you, I could show you where your math is just going wrong. Okay? Stop hating on the mother and the woman. We're the ones that make your home feel like home. Okay? We're the ones that make the children feel protected and loved. And we're not supposed to be leaving them to their video games and their cell phones. We're not supposed to be letting them get harmed. And this world has had us juxtaposed, and it's violent and wrong. Violent and wrong. We're going to go to quantum, where we fix this thing, where suffering goes away, where the truth comes to the table by mandatory. And things are going to get better. And that's all there is to it. We're all manifesting it. And it's going to be awesome. But it's going to be, how do you say, it's like a cold burn. Okay? It's going to be okay, though. So to any children out there that are feeling gender dysphoria, all I can say is, we need to get you your chromosomes so that you can start studying your own genetic makeup. But don't touch a thing. You're not old enough to know about, have decided about God or who you are yet. And they're not allowed to violate you. And this is illegal. It's very illegal. The money game is illegal. They're stealing our intellectual property. They've got fences all around the place. We can't go anywhere if we wanted to. They're fired. Okay? Mankind, you're fired. Totally flat out fired. But it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And it's with the love and the light. Truth. Doing your own homework. Facing the music. Being willing to be honest. No one's getting away with nothing because God can see everything. And God does. And if you don't believe in God, that's for you. That's for me to know and for you to find out. But seriously, it's in the sky. You could see it right now if you wanted to, because it's already available to us. And it's powerful. And we'll never know everything. And in an infinite universe, you could never expect to. So we need to just be more of the people that instead of trying to get to the top of the mountain, have to realize it's always going to be another plateau or peak to go to. Come on down here and smell the roses. Come back down here and get familiar with your zone. Mama's going to make it all better. But women, it's time to face the music. We need to for our children, and we're the only ones that were given the God-given gift, and that's why it's our obligation to stand up and say, "Stop yourself. We're gonna get your itemization report, and we're gonna pull your charges on how much you owe us and the earth for everything you've been doing, and we'll send it to you in the mail. So just shush." That's all I have to say. All around the world, there are religions, and they've enslaved women. Take your pick. The women who are going along with the game plan and want me to shut up are the women that are talked about. For example, in IsYae'A, when it says, "Nobody sees me," he wants to exalt himself. You want to exalt yourself. And both of you are two little Bonnie and Clyde brats that just want to exalt yourself. But that's foul. It's very foul. Extremely foul and perverse. And it's not going down. So Alexandria, I'm going to the higher court. I'm bringing the writ of habeas corpus. You and I are both incarcerated. You're being held incommunicado. This has been 6 years of a sentence we have served. For no reason. This has been torture, genetic science and research. Well, all I can say is that God's got our backs, and your love and my love is seen. And I feel you, and I hope you feel me. I know you do. I know that things are wrapping up here soon. You and I will be holding each other soon. And you'll get the word through the wind, so that way you know that you can feel safe to stand up for yourself and say no. And tell them what you want. I love you so much, Alec. You are the light of my life. And that's what this whole world is falling apart based on. They stole the love from mother and child, and they've been trying to do it the whole time. They're jealous of us, how strong our love is. That's what people are. My whole family turned their back on me without even finding any information out. They just assumed it must have been correct. How gross is that? Shallow is what it is. They will. They'll have plenty of time to contemplate how foul their jumping to conclusions actually is. But I'm not going to worry about the nonsense because I've got one focus, and that's you and your heart and your soul and your smile. I just want to see you smile. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear you laugh. I want to see how big you've gotten. I want to talk to you about everything you've been going through, everything that they've kept us from. We've got the rest of our lives to heal. And what has happened has not been okay, but we will heal. We will heal. And there's so much more I could say, but I'll just pull back. If you can, call me my love. If you can email me, if you can send me a message or anything, I'd love to hear from you. But if not, I understand. I don't expect you to even find these. I don't know what circumstances you're being expected to deal with, but we're going to find out. We're going to get you out of there, and we're going to heal you. And love's going to heal all of us. All of us on this world are tired of this madness. And good news, we've entered the light belt, so it's just a different season. That's great news, isn't it? It is great news. So to anybody out there that's trying to hold on to the slaughtering of things or sacrificing of things or being self-righteous of things, knock it off. Knock it off. Yeah. Bad, real bad, gross. Everybody, you stop that grossness. You stop molesting the children, because we're going to come for you. See you later. Love you, Alec.